Good day, fellow Jersey Nerds, and welcome to episode 41 of the Jersey Nerds podcast, powered by HockeyJerseyConcepts.com. I'm your host, Ryan, and today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the 2019 Stadium Series logo. And speaking of Stadium Series, we're also going to be talking about the new Flyers, new sort of, Flyers alternate jersey. And of course, you'll get Fake or Authentic, the HJC Mailbag, and Throwback Throwdown. And at all times, we want you to join in on the conversation. So send us your thoughts. You can email us anytime, mailbag@hockeyjerseyconcepts.com, or catch us on Twitter @HockeyJC. Joining us this week on the podcast is Monday's writer, Shawn. Shawn, what's going on?
It wouldn't be a podcast if I wasn't here, I don't think, except for the 3 times I wasn't here. You know what? Rocking the 2014 Pittsburgh Stadium Series jersey. I think we can all agree it's the best of the bunch.
From that year, maybe.
Oof.
Definitely in the conversation. Also joining us, Friday's writer, TC. What's going on?
Not much, just hanging out at home, getting ready to do a podcast.
Loving it. When Beepo's not here, TC fills in with that line, right? Also on the podcast, Sunday's writer, Steve. What's going on, Steve?
Not much. How about yourself, Ryan?
Pretty good. I actually wanted to bring up, I just thought of this. I wanted to bring up a really ridiculous dream that I actually had last night. My wife was getting free tickets, Leafs tickets from her work. This is in the dream. This isn't for real. And she had a choice of seeing the Habs, the Bruins, or the Thrashers. And she chose the Thrashers. And I got really mad at her because she got conned out of some tickets because she chose a team that no longer exists anymore. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. And I actually woke up angry because she chose the Thrashers. And I had to take like 5 seconds to realize, oh, it's real life. And it's the middle of summer.
Is it like that dream where the women wake up because they had the dream that you cheated on them and they start hitting you saying, who was the other woman?
That's probably similar. I can't believe you chose the Thrashers. And I've seen the Thrashers. That would be the problem. I've seen the Thrashers probably a dozen times. So why did you choose the Thrashers? You're supposed to choose the Habs or Bruins. Anyways, that was my stupid dream of the week. This isn't. If anybody listens to James Duthie's Rubber Boots podcast, he has his dreams, and I guess I kind of just stole that segment. But whatever. This is the Jersey Nerds podcast, and it's time to get down to business.
To defeat the Huns.
And the first bit of business this week is the 2019 NHL Stadium Series logo was released this past week, early in the week. And the game, of course, is a rematch between the Flyers and the Penguins. This one's in Philadelphia. So the logo is a keystone shape. NHL Shield is actually in the middle of this logo, which is very surprising. They do like to put it off to the side for the instance of the red line, and they don't like it to go through the shield. So either way, it's going to be moved at center ice. Stadium Series in its sort of typical font. Series is a little bit of a new font. Inside the D on Stadium is the Liberty Bell. We have the Coors Light sponsorship, which is only featured on this digital logo. You won't see it on the player jerseys. And then it says Philadelphia at the bottom. Left side of the outline is Pittsburgh gold. Right side of the outline is Flyers orange, and that is pretty much what you get. Base of the logo is a navy blue, the same navy they've been using for the entire Stadium Series. Let's go to what you like about this logo, Shawn.
Has there been a bad Stadium Series logo? Because this continues that trend of being, honestly, superior to the Winter Classic logo. I really like this logo. It's simple enough. It plays off of the yellow and orange, even though I don't think the teams will be wearing those colors in the game. It's nice to actually see a Keystone logo. We've seen a lot of concepts using that, and Philly using it as their captain's patch in the 2012 Winter Classic. But this itself, I think, is a good little continuation of that. I like the new font used. It's kind of got that industrial feel that you probably would actually expect to see more in Pittsburgh than Philadelphia, but I like it as is. Other than that, it's very simple. I think it's going to be a good-looking patch on the jerseys regardless. And actually, I think it's refreshing to see a simpler Stadium Series logo. This is probably the simplest one since the 2 games in 2015-16.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely agree with you that it's simple. TC, what are you thinking about this logo?
I like it. I agree with Shawn that these Stadium Series logos tend to be better than the Winter Classic. I like the base of the keystone for this. It's a Pennsylvania matchup in state rivals, so that's a great way to pay tribute to both of the teams. I like the use of the gold for the Pens and the orange for the Flyers. That's a good way to incorporate both teams as well. And I do like the new font used. I think they did a great job of putting the Liberty Bell inside of the D, so it's not taking up too much of the design, but you can definitely get it and you get the feel that it's being played in Philly.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It doesn't stick out. It's a solidly used element, and I like what they've done there. Steve, what are your thoughts on this? What do you like?
It follows the keep it simple, stupid approach, which is always one of my favorites, personally. I love the fact that they've added both the Penguins yellow and the Flyers orange to it. They used the keystone to represent the state of Pennsylvania. The Stadium Series having the Liberty Bell and the D is a nice touch to show that it's in Philadelphia. And the new text itself it just flows better. It doesn't look dated like the past logos, where those logos looked dated like even 2 years after they came out. So overall, I think they did a good job for how simple it is. But as for the NHL logo in the middle, that is going to be a bit of an issue. So I'm wondering where they might put it when it comes to putting it on the ice, or maybe they might do like what they did in the 90s, is put 2 logos on each side.
Maybe that might be a little crowded, but it's an option. We won't know what they've done, what they will do, because for the last several years, they've made an effort to put their own shield on either side of the logo. Previously, we've seen it moved left, but anything could happen with this logo. It's obviously we're going to have that Coors Light sponsorship removed at the bottom, and it might say, who knows, it might say Philadelphia 2019 down there, or just might say Philadelphia. So that's another option, but it'll be interesting to see how they implement this at center ice. Something for us jersey and logo nerds to be looking out for. Like you guys have said, it's simple. It does, and as it should, it reminds me of the Heinz ketchup logo too much, but it's not terrible. I like the blatant use of Flyers and Penguins colors here. I like the continuing of playing with the Stadium Series font. It's new, but it still ties into the past Stadium Series, so it keeps it a series. Shawn, let's go to something that you don't like about this logo.
I don't like that the Flyers have to share this logo with the Pens, but the Pens didn't have to share their logo with the Flyers. I think that's a little bit of some Pennsylvania bias towards a certain team, knowing that one of them is a little bit more marketable and successful. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I do the same thing too. But it does seem like Philly gets a little bit shafted in their logo, that they have to share that. If you wonder why they're the city of brotherly love, that doesn't help. I totally agree with you about the Heinz ketchup logo. Again, that kind of should be the case, but it is a little distracting, and I look at it and I just think of mediocre ketchup. Sorry.
Shut up.
Ryan
right
and I are
now.
Canadian.
French's
ketchup
is the superior ketchup.
French's ketchup is the only ketchup that HJC officially supports.
The only reason you like French is because you damn Canadians are so buddy-buddy with the frogs.
And
No, it's because we're buddy, but yes, it's because we're buddy-buddy with Canadian farmers.
and
Don't you ever say that Heinz is inferior to any other ketchup. There is no other ketchup that compares to Heinz ketchup.
French's ketchup is tremendous, and it contains just the right amount of maple syrup in it, and it just you can put it on your hotcakes. It's Canadian. It's got the maple syrup.
You know what? Yeah, Heinz says here's a recipe for the Great Canadian Ketchup Cake. French's says, you use the ketchup as you want to. We trust you to be reasonable with our product. And you know what? Most people are. But going back to this logo, one thing that I don't like about it, honestly, is looking at the Liberty Bell. And it's just kind of the way that they've done this. The crack looks like the state of California.
I can see that.
I don't know what it is. It just looks like they put the state of California in the Liberty Bell. And I know I've never been to Philly. I don't know what the actual thing looks like. But I've always had the understanding that it looks more like a chip than the state of California. And the Phillies logo does it a little better. So I think that it would have been more accurate to make it a thinner thing that spreads out at the bottom. But that's it's really nitpicky, honestly. But just something that kind of distracted me. So yes, ketchup, California, and sharing. That's the problems with these.
I hate when I have to share my ketchup in California. I found an interesting note. I found an interesting note when the NHL runs down all the bullshit that they like to give you about logos and jerseys and separate meanings. But they noted that, or it's noted that Fan Brands wasn't involved in the design of this one. Just NHL Creative Services. So I don't know if that's why it's so simple, or maybe as many resources weren't put into it, so that's why you don't get as much. But I'll just jump in here and say my dislike of it is that it maybe is a bit too simple. But at the same time, I don't know what I would be expecting, because what else can you do? You've already done a Liberty Bell logo with the 2012 Winter Classic. Then again, you've already done the Keystones from the same game with the Flyers captain's patch. So who knows? But this one's a little simple for me. TC, maybe some things that you dislike about this logo.
I didn't even notice how similar it looked to the Heinz ketchup design, but now I can't unsee that. So thank you, Ryan.
Hey, no problem. Yeah.
I do have to agree with Shawn that the fact that Philly has to sort of share this logo is, well, let's just call it what it is. It's bullshit. Like, you look at the history of Stadium Series logos, teams didn't have to share theirs. Like, you look at last year's, it was obviously the Washington, D.C. military area. The year before, Pittsburgh. Year before that, they gave Colorado and Minnesota their own designs. So I think the fact that they're sort of making it like something for both teams, while they did it well, the fact that they felt they had to do it at all is a little annoying. On top of that, at the very bottom, where the two orange and yellow come together, it's a triangle, which is one of two things. A, Bettman is finally admitting that he's part of the Illuminati. Or B, it's some ridiculous allusion to the Golden Triangle, further proving that they want Pittsburgh to be the real focal point here.
Oh, that's a deep dive on the logo. That's a deep dive. Steve, what do you dislike about this Heinz ketchup look like?
I hate the gradients. I am tired of seeing gradients on logos, because then they have to make a flat version of the logo for patches, or they have, well, nowadays with patches and everything, but it just annoys me that they still try to do the gradients. The gradients were nice like 5-6 years ago, but now it's annoying. And I mean, I also have to agree with everybody else that they share it. I feel like if Fan Brands was in there, they wouldn't. But to ask you guys, name something from Philadelphia that you can think of right off the top
Black.
of your head. Shut the hell up. And
seriously, black. If you replace the navy with black.
No, listen to what I'm asking.
Like a landmark.
Landmark. Name another landmark.
The Rocky statue?
Hall.
The jail in Lincoln Bank Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Link.
Yeah.
Eastern State Penitentiary.
The Rocky statue.
So, essentially, they had a lot of options. They still had some more options that they could have used, but for some reason they didn't. Because to the average person in Pittsburgh, you know it as the City of Bridges. Or you know it as the Golden Triangle. And the golden triangle part is people are stretching that because no one understands why. But as with Philadelphia, you know it as the Liberty Bell. That's infamous with Philadelphia. And it's like they didn't want to use it again because they already overused it. So I feel like they boxed themselves into a corner with this logo already just by using the Keystone. They're like, well, we're going to use the Keystone. Might as well combine it to share the two teams instead of just give it to Philadelphia. I mean, to be honest, this would work better if it was first in Philadelphia and then they did something else to where it'd be for Pittsburgh.
They should have gone with inspired by the Rocky statue, boxing glove, and then they could have done a head-to-head logo like they've kind of done here. That would have been something different. But then you're inspiring your logo based on a movie, and then you're getting into trademarks and rights and all that kind of stuff. But whatever.
Rocky was based on an actual Philadelphia boxer, though.
Nah, whatever.
But yes, I get what you're saying.
It's been done. I feel like we would have gotten something a little more if Fan Brands was also involved here. But we got what we got. Let's go to the ratings out of 10. Shawn, what do you got here?
I'm going to give it a solid 7.5. It's not my favorite Stadium Series logo. In fact, it's probably actually near the bottom of it. And I agree with you about the simplicity. But when you're dealing with such high caliber logos, a 7.5 is still pretty good. I think that obviously there's some easy fixes to be made here. Just make it black.
Of course, Shawn wants it black. All right. TC, what's your rating?
I'm going to have to give it a 7. I think it's done some nice things, but, the other ones, you got to look at them and, well, not so much for the original Stadium Series, but for the later ones, you got to look at them and you knew where it was being played. This one, you got to think about it. I didn't know about the Keystone thing until I actually looked it up. The Liberty Bell, it's not the main focal point. I like how they worked it in because we've seen that when they try and do it, they tend to overdo it, like in the 2012 Winter Classic. But I just think this is towards, much like Shawn, it's towards the bottom on Stadium Series logos.
Steve, what do you got here?
I'm going to give it a 7 just because it's not a terrible logo itself, but it just due to the simplicity, it's kind of like they didn't really put a whole lot of thought into it. They just took elements that they've used in the past that they knew worked, and they tried to work it into something that they could. But like I said before, they boxed themselves into a corner, and it just came up with this and type logo. So 7 for me.
Yeah, I also have to give it a 7. I don't think it's the least strongest of the Stadium Series logos to date. As I've mentioned, it's just a little bit plain. I wanted something more from it, but it's definitely not a bad logo. So I think it definitely deserves a 7. There's nothing here that's not working. Like nothing is gross or roll your eyes worthy. I think it all works. It's just I wanted something more. So like I said, a 7. And we pretty much all gave it a 7, except for Shawn, rated it 7.5. That gives it an average rating of 7.125, to be very specific. So that's a pretty decent rating there for this logo, and I think it expresses all our thoughts well. Let's go to our next topic, which kind of ties into this logo. It's the Flyers revealing what they will use as their alternate jersey. I guess you could consider it a new jersey, but it's the same design that they wore in the 2017 Stadium Series game. The only difference is it's an Adidas jersey, and the hanger effect inside the collar says Philadelphia. So the podcast wasn't around when this jersey first came out. So let's quickly, a sentence or two on what you like, what you don't like, and also provide your rating and how you think Adidas handled this jersey re-release. Let's start with TC.
I don't know what to say about this jersey. It's very plain. I kind of like the simplicity, but at the same time, I liked it for a stadium series. Am I going to like it as an alternate? I'm not sure. The big, bold stripes on the arms, I think, work relatively well, especially with the numbers there. I've seen them blank, and they just look atrocious. Like, the numbers in the striping really make it. I like that they have the traditional different colored name bar. I would have liked to have seen them be a little bolder and put orange numbers on the back instead of black, but we can't always get what we want. And I think Adidas's decision and the Flyers' decision to sort of do under the radar and not do a big reveal was the proper way to go. When you're coming out with a quote-unquote new alternate that's just an old jersey on a new template, I don't really know if you need to have a big release party. The Coyotes did, but that's sort of because they brought back an old classic. This is a relatively recent design that I don't know if people were as amped up about it as they were about the Kachina coming back. So I think the fact that there was little to no fanfare was probably the right move.
All right, Steve, what do you think about this? Likes, dislikes? Oh, actually, TC, you got a rating out of 10. Just this one and the Stadium Series.
This one and the Stadium Series?
Just combine it all into one rating.
Combine it all into one rating? I'm just going to go ahead and give it a 7.5.
All right, Steve, some positives and negatives for this thing and your rating.
Well, I clearly remember what I said about the original version when it was during the Stadium Series, and that I didn't like how black it was and how they had black numbers on it outlined in silver, because it was going to be hard to see from a distance, and that's not going to change the fact when you're indoors. And like TC said, this jersey would look terrible if you just got it plain. Now, I do like the fact that they have an orange name bar in the back. It's different. It's unique to them because they've always had a different colored name bar. However, it's just, they could have gone so many ways with it, but for them just to go to this and for it to basically be a large black jersey that looks like something that Adidas could have made as one of those templated jerseys that someplace like Athletic Knit or SP would sell to a beer league team for, I don't know, $20 a jersey. It's like, really? That's what you're going to come up with? That's what you're going to decide on? That's terrible. So, and as for an overall view, I said previously they were good, but they're not great. So I'm going to give it about a 6.5 for both.
6.5 from Steve. Okay, Shawn, some highlights and lowlights of this thing and your rating. It's a black jersey. It's a black jersey.
It is a black jersey, and I really liked this jersey as a Stadium Series, but TC was absolutely correct in that the oversized black numbers on the orange stripe, I don't know what it was about them, but it's almost that the thick white outline acted as a white stripe in a sense. It added some color to that, and to reduce it in size, I think everything here, the Stadium Series elements, the oversized name bar and numbers, actually benefited the jersey and should have stuck around, particularly because that orange name bar that was oversized sort of acted as a back stripe, I guess would be the term for it. But unlike the Nashville All-Star Game jerseys where they didn't really work, especially without a name on the back, these worked. And I think that to get rid of that for a normal-sized name bar, not a fan of that. Everything else looked okay. This would really benefit from some sort of shoulder patch. I mean, they had the Ed Snyder Memorial and the Stadium Series logo. So I think that, honestly, even just an orange and white keystone outline would look fine. You know, something like that would do it. The originals got an 8 for me. These I'm going to drop it to a 6.5 just to say that, you know, the elements here were, a little muted, and I think that they got rid of some things that could have worked. And I think that this should serve as a warning to teams if you want to use a Stadium Series jersey as your alternate. Don't be afraid to keep those Stadium Series elements.
All right, and I absolutely love this jersey. It's a simple classic jersey. Oh my goodness, I love it. I think the name bar on the back, it's totally works here. Maybe more so than every other Flyers jersey, which I get the history behind why the Flyers jerseys have the off-color name bars, but I think it works remarkably well on these jerseys. Adidas did a great job with this. It looks like a direct transfer, of course, except for the NHL crest. One negative about it, the Philadelphia in the hanger effect, that's just garbage. That adds nothing to the jersey. There's no real reason why it's there other than to try and convince someone who already has the Stadium Series jersey to drop another $200 or whatever and buy this alternate jersey. But other than that, I think all the colors work great. I think the team actually physically looks bigger when they wear them. They can be sort of intimidating, brings back memories of the Broad Street Bullies. I think it's just an excellent design. And so I'm going to throw it an 8.5, which brings its average score to 7.25. So really solid jersey here, decent score, and be interesting to see what the Flyers look like or how many times they wear it this season. Coming up next, we got some Throwback Throwdown. And in this edition of Throwback Throwdown, we continue with our kind of mid-2000s era Throwback Throwdowns here. We're going to the end of the CCM era, the last year of CCM, 2006, 2007. This is the first year back from the full season lockout. And I've chosen two jerseys from that era that I think are somewhat similar but also very strong. And we're looking at the complete set of the Calgary Flames. This is the same set that they wore on their way to the 2004 Stanley Cup Final. So the home jersey is a red jersey with the black logo. It's got a full black collar with it's actually got a collar insert here and black laces. The stripes on the arms are at an angle, so it's black from the cuff up, and then we have a yellow stripe, white stripe, and black stripe. That's repeated on the front, going down into a V. The road jersey is a white version, and the black is replaced by red with a yellow stripe, white stripe, and a black stripe. Actually, on that one, there's no white stripe. Forgive me on that. It's going up against, from the same season, 2006-2007, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, the Penguins in this season had brought back the retro logo, now in Vegas gold, 2 or 3 years prior to this. This is the first jersey that Sidney Crosby wore with the Penguins. So, again, you have angular stripes on the black home jersey. It's white from the cuff up, then a thin black stripe, and a thicker Vegas gold stripe, and that is on the sides as well on the front of the jersey. White road jersey, black cuffs, and again, a thick Vegas gold stripe. So, let's start with, Shawn, your review of the Calgary set.
These are the nostalgic Calgary jerseys I grew up on. Obviously, I have a lot of love for them. I really like the way that, shocker here, I like the way black is used on the red jersey. I think that it's a solid use of it. And honestly, the biggest thing about these is it shows to you how terrible Calgary did in the Edge era, because the flaming horsehead logo worked excellently as a shoulder patch, or no shoulder patch, period. The away, honestly, Calgary wore that for a lot longer than the red jersey. So it does, to me at least, seem a little bit more dated. I actually apply that jersey more with the horsehead home than I do with that, for whatever reason that may be. But the away is, I think, just, if they had adopted that, proto Edge tie down, I think it would look a lot better. Would have brought it a little forward, do that update after the lockout. I think the one thing about it, and this is something that they did with the switch to Adidas, is the racing car style numbers really show their age now, even looking back on this. I think they started wearing that style specifically in 1998 with the horsehead alternate. and they kept it up until 2016. And looking at it again, it's just kind of really glad they straightened the numbers out in this past season.
All right. Let's go to Steve and your review of the Calgary jerseys.
Looking at these, what's really nice is just the striping itself is simple, but it's a very effective design with the color combinations. Like on the red jersey, it's a red base overall, which looks really appealing on the ice with the black pants, but then you have the black hem and the black cuffs that have the angled striping. It's very nice because the yellow and the white works really well to complement that. And then I also do like the tie-down collar because it's kind of essentially predates to what would become for Edge. As for the white, as Shawn said, it is a little more dated, and I think it's just because of how the logo's colored itself, having the red, yellow, red look instead of what they were doing with the black C instead. But overall, both are really nice, minus the racing numbers, because, even back then, the racing numbers, they were really starting to show their age.
All right, TC, what do you think about these things?
I'm going to be the one that strays from the herd and say I actually like the away better. I've always hated the inclusion of black in the Flames color scheme. I know a lot of people have gotten used to it, but I just don't think it fits in well. When I think of Fire, I don't think black. That being said, I think on the away jersey, the black to break up the white and yellow is used quite well. The horse head actually works really well as a shoulder patch. I know a lot of people hate it, but that's because when they think about it, they think of that black jersey. It works really well as a shoulder patch. The home, I hate the black C logo. I wish they had gone with the white C like they had on the earlier jerseys. There's just way too much black, and I think everybody's pretty much covered it. I hate number and name font here. And yeah, that pretty much covers it.
All right, yeah. So the numbers are ridiculous. I think I would consider what they use now to be a version or a generation or two later of what they were using in 2006. It's not a good number set. I do like the use of the colors, and the horsehead logo has really, really grown on me over the years. It does bother me now that I'm actually looking and doing a deep dive on these jerseys that the white jersey doesn't have collar laces, but the black one does. The white jersey has a 3-color collar, but the red jersey has a single color collar. So that's a little off-putting as a set, which we are looking at these as a set. But I was really thrilled with Calgary's red version of this jersey when it came out, and I thought it was top-notch, and I still think it's a really solid jersey. So overall, this is a really, I like this set here from Calgary. Let's go to the Pittsburgh Penguins of the same year. And Steve, as the resident Penguins fan, you can start us off on this.
Well, Ryan, I don't mean to correct you, but on these jerseys, they actually used a shiny gold material, both in the stitching for the triangle and as for the striping. It was the Vegas gold, the muted Vegas gold that they used for the edge material. So apologies on that, but
Watch this is great about being in charge, because right now I've muted Steve because he's disagreeing with me. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me, but nobody can hear Steve right now. I've actually turned down Skype so that nobody can hear him, and that's the last time he corrects me. All right, sorry about that. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, anyways, I remember when these came out, and everybody loved the gold and the black with it. because it was something new. Everybody was tired of the RoboPen. Everybody was, which I mean, now we look on it fondly because it's different today, and this was just something new. It was fresh. It was basically the type of design style you would see of that era, with the angled stripes that they kept for the Penguins, but it was a simple enough jersey that it could reverse designs but still look well.
All right, let's go to Shawn. What do you think about these Penguins jerseys? And don't you dare correct me on anything.
Well, Ryan, I will say you're right, whatever your opinion of these jerseys are.
Darn right.
However,
Ryan, maybe if you were to do your homework.
Okay, that's it. Go ahead, Shawn.
I think we're turning into around the horn here. Yeah, these are all right. I don't look back on these fondly because the Penguins were crap when they wore them. They were a terrible team. They weren't a fun team to watch, and they were going through a lot of growing pains. And frankly, I look at these and I just see, I see how the Edge jerseys, and I don't think anyone aside from me really likes the original Edge jerseys that much. I see where they got the inspiration for them. I think that they've aged a little better than some of the other Pens jerseys. But there's nothing with these that says to me, like, this is a design we need to go back to. We need to throw back to. I just look at them and I go, you can get this for $40 on eBay. They're everywhere. They're fine. There's nothing in this that screams Pittsburgh to me. It just sort of says, they look like a CHL team, I'll be blunt. They look more like a Chilliwack Bruins, than they do a Pittsburgh Penguins team. And I think that that's telling of this design, is that a lot of people wouldn't really associate this with the Pens if you described it to them without, saying, oh, here's a Pittsburgh Penguins jersey. If you thought of a hockey jersey with white angled striping with an angled shiny Vegas gold stripe, what would you think? And they'd probably say, I don't know, some random team. I don't think you'd automatically think Pittsburgh, and that's where these ultimately fall apart. And I'm someone who likes Vegas gold. That's the thing. These should be the ideal Vegas Gold Penguins jerseys, but they're not. And, it's upsetting because I did like these at one point, but they haven't aged well.
I don't mean to correct you, Shawn, but this isn't actually Vegas Gold. It's just a shiny gold material. Okay?
It's Pittsburgh style Vegas Gold. Now the Vegas is in the line. I must correct you on that. Originally, the color was referred to as steel worker gold.
You got it?
What's that, Steve? Sorry, what?
Shut the hell up. You owe me on a correction.
All right, let's go pick our winners here. Calgary in the.
Do I not get?
TC
Oh, I totally thought we went to TC because he's the one not arguing with me. All right, sorry, TC.
This is how we get Civil War II.
Enlighten us with your Pittsburgh
Civil War
review.
II, Electric Boogaloo.
Now with more war.
I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of these. I think their saving grace is, and I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, the RoboPen on the shoulders. I always loved that logo. I think it actually works fairly well in the Pittsburgh style Vegas gold that isn't Vegas gold, but we're calling it Vegas gold. Just a Vegas gold.
You know what? Screw it. Just call it Vegas gold. Guys, keep calling it Vegas gold because it's Edge. I give up on all of you.
All right, I win. It's Vegas gold.
Pittsburgh style dark gold.
You Canadians win, okay?
French's ketchup rules.
No.
You shut up about ketchup. That's a different story.
I like the design, but that shiny gold material is just so goddamn kitschy and awful looking that I can't stand it. And the funny thing is, I think it works better on the white jersey. Like the fact that it shines works better on the white jersey, because otherwise, Vegas gold is kind of muted to have just directly on the white. But it's just such a gross material. I hate the use of that material. And it, on the whole, it's not a bad design. That really is something that I've never liked, and it just drags this whole design down for me.
It's gaudy and shiny and irritating. Does it remind you of any place in the South in particular? Maybe somewhere hot or Western? Maybe Vegas? Huh?
That's exactly what it reminds me of.
Yeah, and look at the caliber of teams they have.
I'm talking about Vegas Gold, damn it. Vegas Gold! It's gold, Jerry. Anyways. So let's go and pick our winners here. You can choose either Calgary's red and yellow jerseys or Pittsburgh's black and Vegas Gold jerseys. Let's go to Fuming Steve with his winner.
I'm going to pick Calgary.
Whoa!
And I'll say why.
You forgot the ding.
Oh, okay, hold on. Go again, Steve.
I'm going to pick Calgary. Okay, and I'll say why. So, with these jerseys, it was refreshing, but it's one of those things where you don't know what you have until you lose it. And you guys understand what I'm talking about. That's why once the Edge system came, everybody was crying back for yellow. But I guarantee, even if we kept that material or these colors, we still would have wanted the yellow again, because that just harkens back to better times than what this does, because those jerseys brought along a lot of bad stuff, except Sidney Crosby. And we didn't even start production until about 2009, when those jerseys were long gone. So,
Shawn, you want to pick a winner here? Calgary, Pittsburgh. Who do you got?
I don't think either team's a winner because there's so many better designs for each of them you can pick. I'm going to throw it to Calgary. I mean, I don't want these designs to return. I want to make that clear. Despite the black, I'm actually on TC's side in that I think it's time for Calgary to bring back the white C on the red jersey, just because we're at this point coming up on what'll soon be 15 years of black C, which sounds like a euphemism. But at least with Calgary, there's success behind those jerseys. The Pittsburgh jerseys don't really do much for me. And frankly, when you get down to it, both these jerseys are cheap on eBay. Pick one up for $40.
And I will.
You know what the Calgary jerseys remind you of? Jerome McGinley's prime.
That's
true.
Not
What they
really.
remind you of.
Not really.
R.I.P.
They remind me of guys like Robin Regier and friggin' Craig Conroy. And Roman Turek.
What a collection of players there, Shawn. Oh, remember when they were so good on the run to the Stanley Cup? Was Turek wasn't even in net for the Flames.
Turek got kicked out of the team by that point.
It was Kipper by that point. Thanks for those awesome memories. Those guys were so great.
Calgary fans will be thanking me for reminding them of Roman Turek.
All right, let's go to TC, because I forgot him last time, with his winner.
Forgot my ding.
Oh, God damn it, Shawn. Go ahead.
Calgary. Yeah.
There you go. And we had trouble with the ding. All right, let's go to TC.
I'm going to jump on this bandwagon and say Calgary again.
There we go. Calgary. Clean sweep for Calgary. I'm not even going to vote, because I'd probably vote Pittsburgh, actually. My favorite memory of this Pittsburgh jersey is the white one when they brought it out. First regular season game. Home opener. Leafs are in town. Leafs pumped them 6-0. And that's what I remember about this white Pittsburgh jersey. But
yeah, that sounds about right.
But there's no need for me to vote here. 3-0 win here for Calgary.
Was that when what's his face? Was it Kovalev was our captain?
I think Kovalev might have been on the team. Yeah.
Yeah. He went to the All-Star game, and then they traded him at the deadline later that year.
Oh, it's a good year, 2002, 2003. Pittsburgh Penguins. I think Hedberg was in net. Just an overall good year. So the winner, pardon me, the winner of this week's Throwback Throwdown are the Calgary Flames. Fake or authentic? All right, this is a very special edition of Fake or Authentic. This is my favorite part of the podcast, but this week I've handed it over to someone who has some very interesting thoughts when it comes to the look of hockey. And that is our very own Monday writer, Shawn. This is Shawn's version of Fake or Authentic. So Shawn's going to read the statements, and then TC, Steve, and myself are going to jump in with our Fake or Authentic. All right, here we go, Shawn. Statement number 1.
I'd rather get an obscure player I like on a jersey that no one will know than a big star I don't care that much about.
Go ahead, TC. Fake or Authentic?
I'm gonna go authentic, and I'll tell you why. Because that's a great way to vet who actually cares about the sport. Who doesn't just go into the game with a couple of buddies and then grabs a Sidney Crosby jersey off the shelf because that's a name that they've heard 1,000 times. I've actually got the original Edge jersey, the 2007 All-Star game. And if you look at the list of players I can put on it, there's Ovechkin, Crosby, LeCavalier, Danny Heatley, Marian Hossa, Dion Phaneuf. There are tons of people that I could put on. But you know who I want to put on it more than anything? Jonathan Cheechoo. Because there is no other jersey on the planet that is more worthy of that name. Oh. It's his only All-Star game that he played in. Didn't really do much with the rest of his career. But that year, he had a great
50 goals, didn't he, that year? I think he had 50 or 52 or something like that. The Jonathan Cheechoo, that would be. You got to get Cheechoo on that one. All right, Steve, fake or authentic? For Shawn's fake or authentic?
I'd have to go off authentic. And I'll say this, because as a child, I was a Darius Kasparaitis fan because he was Lithuanian. He was the only Lithuanian on the Penguins. And being Lithuanian, that was huge to us. And I wanted that, and you could not find his jersey anywhere. You could find Lemieux, you could find Jágr, but you could not find him or probably half of the other team in all of the Pittsburgh area. So if I were to ever find a jersey, a Penguins jersey with his name on it, or if I were to ever be able to find one that era or get that cheap enough that was in nice enough condition, I would most likely put his name on it just because he was someone that I liked because he was of the same nationality as I was. And as you know, not many Lithuanians make it to the NHL. But, I mean, the same can be said for other people that, they might have had a childhood star, or they might have met the guy that was doing charity work or something. They instantly became a fan with his. So, yes, I would do so.
All right, and currently on this one for me, I'm fake. Because if I'm getting a Leafs jersey numbered, it's going to be one of the superstars. It's going to be Matthews, Marner, Tavares, not Nylander. I'm not a huge Nylander fan. Who?
You fucking name brand whore.
Yes, right now I am. I'm name brand whore when it comes to the Leafs. But back in the day, I definitely was completely authentic on this one. I had Matt Stajan, Luke Schenn, Jonas Gustafsson, and Michael Telkvist Leaf jerseys back in the day. So I was definitely previously authentic, but nowadays I would lean to more towards fake. Shawn, statement number 2.
All right. I'm obviously authentic on that last statement, by the way. Matt Stajan is definitely someone me and Ryan can agree is a likable player. He's going on my Flames alternate. The next statement. We will get CCM vintage style versions of the original Edge jerseys. And what I mean by this is we're going to see some of the 07-08 designs re-released in high quality form, but not fully authentic. In the same style that CCM has been releasing pre-Edge and vintage designs. for the past, let's say, about 10 years now. But these are, let's stick to 07, 08, and 08, 09. Fake or authentic? Let's start with Ryan this time.
I want to say fake, but I think it'll be authentic because they've already gone ahead and done this with the Hawks black alternate that was based on the Winter Classic one, and Detroit's, which was based on the same Winter Classic. They've come out with CCM versions of this. It's got the collar insert and everything. It just doesn't have the NHL shield on the collar insert. So I would say they would continue that. So this, I guess, would be authentic, unfortunately.
And if you could pick a design to not do from 07 away, what would it be?
To not do? Oh, man. Let's go with Pittsburgh, Ottawa, or Tampa Bay, or Philadelphia.
Oh, the Philly thrown it in there just because
I needed to stick you with a knife.
All right. I want to hear somebody whose team got much worse in the Edge era. TC. Thrashers throwbacks. Come on.
I really don't want it. Really don't want it. Mainly because there's such a glut of existing Edge jerseys out there that you can go and find them on eBay for cheap. I don't want the market to be flooded by these recreations. Not to mention, this was a dark period in jersey design. Like, they were still feeling themselves out, trying to get used to it. And a lot of them were shoehorned into these template designs that just look awful and would look awful on a CCM style jersey. So I'm hoping that despite, what they did with, as Ryan said, the Detroit and the Blackhawks, like, for iconic designs like that where you hit it out of the park, fine. But if you're just going and putting these out for the sake of putting it out, dear God, do not.
And finally, a team that actually did well in these first couple Edge years. Steve.
I want to say that we aren't, but I know we are, because there is going to either be CCM themselves or another company is just going to do whatever they can to profit off of a style of a jersey. And I want to say that it's going to be the specialty jerseys. It's not going to be the main jerseys that were worn, just because there's such a maximum out there. But someone's going to make the first iteration of the Nashville Predators jerseys, or someone's going to try and redo the Turd Burger and make another buck off of that. You just know they're going to do the worst of the worst just to try and make a quick cash grab on it. Like, even the Edmonton Oilers jersey, someone's going to come out with that. And I know Shawn's automatically going to go broke and his future wife's going to divorce him for it. But I don't want to see that happen, and it's going to happen, and it scares me.
You spent all of our savings on jerseys, and not just jerseys? Shit jerseys? Get the fuck out.
Guys, you're implying that Shawn ever gets his shit together long enough to actually notice that a woman is interested in him. For those of you who don't follow Shawn's love life, Shawn is the most oblivious human being on the planet to women coming on.
Yes, he is. That he is. He is.
I love him to death, but you would have to roofie him, and he'd still be. I don't know. What are your intentions with this?
All right. Well, there we go.
Shawn would get roofied and wake up in the morning and not think anything happened. No, it's cool. I just went home.
I had a stomach ache.
I was in the bar. I went home. The evening was over. I don't know what happened in between, but I feel great. Sorry, Shawn.
So
we just derailed your fake or authentic.
As I always say, I could never have an ego. It just gets shot down too quickly. Except for, He's like, what? Yeah. But, I'm going to say this is totally fake because they've probably already made the designs that they want to make, particularly the first couple Winter Classics. If I had to pick some that I want to see in, like, again, because the thing about these is that the CCM vintages do cost a premium, but they are high-quality jerseys. And the Edge jerseys, particularly the premiers, are notorious for being low quality. So there is some benefit to this. But as TC said, $100 can get you an Edge Authentic at this point. Would I like to see a Nashville CCM vintage original Edge jersey? Yes. Are you kidding? Jason Arnott? What are you talking about? But the problem is that, again, yeah, these designs are readily available. They're crap. And the teams that were good during this era, namely San Jose, Pittsburgh, Detroit, those teams, Chicago, Vancouver, they're either still wearing those designs or those designs are everywhere and they can't get rid of them. So, yeah, let's go. I'm going to say fake here, but you guys are probably right if you can make a quick buck. And, yes, I am quite oblivious. Thanks for bringing that up, TC. And my last question.
Hold on. I got a question that I've just thought of. $100, and you can get that original Flyers Edge jersey or the touch of a woman. Go ahead, Shawn.
Well, now here's the thing. Michael Layton is a saint. And Michael Layton, if you listen to this podcast, come on the podcast. We want to hear about the AHL's greatest goaltender.
Okay,
I think you're a Hall of Famer.
All right, that's enough, Shawn. Go to your third statement.
Yes, I picked the wrong answer. Ryan doesn't want to hear me fillet Michael Layton for another hour. Yeah, so fake or authentic on this one. And this one is a Leafs question because for those of you who don't know, I'm a proto-Leafs fan. I grew up in the Toronto area, and I remember going to games during this era quite a bit. The original Edge Leafs jerseys, also known as the pajama tops, also known as the Luke Chen jersey, would be considered good jerseys if the teams wearing them would have been better. And for those of you not in Toronto, those were some very dark times in Toronto. I think the best they finished was like 81 points. So, fake or authentic? Let's start with the non-Leafs fan, Steve. What do you think of these?
Hell no. These are the laziest. Oh my. I stare at him and I'm just getting angrier at it. Just because it's two thin stripes and then the little cuff is white and then they still use the cable font lettering on the back, but they have block numbers. It's like a hot mess. It's like someone ran over, and it's like they were running out of time when they were designing the Leafs jerseys. They're like, okay, just screw it. Just put two stripes on there, call it a day. I don't want to deal with them anymore. And then they have the old style 3-stripe socks to go with it. This makes absolutely no sense. And no, in no way, even if they were good. Because you're comparing that to saying, like, me saying, oh, you know what? That white Pens jersey from the first Edge era wasn't so bad because they won 2 Stanley Cups in it. No, it was bad. I don't care if they won Stanley Cups in it. It was bad.
First of all, the reason why those jerseys are great is because Gary Roberts is too much man. Ryan, you've tried to convince yourself for years that these jerseys are good. Or maybe you've given up on that, I don't know.
When these jerseys were out, I did try to convince. I convinced myself that they were good, and I thought they were classy because they kept it simple. And now time has passed, and the 2 jerseys since it have blown it out of the water. And yes, I realize that I was wrong, but I would be authentic on this statement, just because I was able to convince myself that these jerseys were decent. So I would think that a better team would be able to convince more people that these jerseys were decent. So I'm authentic on this one.
But they did the Maple Leafs a favor by sucking, so that would go away.
They went hand in hand.
It's also worth noting that the teams, when we say suck, we're talking 83, 81, and 74 points or 78 points or something like that. So we're not talking like Buffalo bad. We're talking like the bad that you can barely watch, but they're just in the playoff race enough come February that everyone in Toronto thinks is a chance if they just trade Toskala for Crosby. TC.
They were the suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked.
They were. They were.
The damn Wiener kids are listening to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. These jerseys are horrendous. They are by far the weakest in the Maple Leafs jersey history, and I'm including the time in the 1920s when their white jersey was plain white and just had the Maple Leafs logo. Somehow, the absence of everything beats these. First of all, I understand the elimination of the TLM shoulder patch, but it's like TML shoulder patch. It's like they went, well, we've got this horrible shoulder patch. Let's get rid of it. Well, we've got a fantastic shoulder patch from before that one. Should we put that on? No, scrap it. Throw it to the heap. And while we're at it, let's get rid of the tail stripe. Let's really, 2 stripes on the arm, not enough. All right, let's recolor the cuff. What? The gloves? No. It's enough. It's enough. Don't care that the gloves cover it. Terrible font. Yep, that'll be the cherry on our shit Sunday. And let's call it a day. And cocaine and hookers, gentlemen. All right, let's go.
All right. I can't remember who the GM of the Leafs was at that point. Cliff Fletcher? Okay, maybe.
Followed.
Let's be fair. If your mayor was smoking crack, the owners of the Maple Leafs probably were too.
I think the teachers union owned them at that point. So,
they were definitely smoking crack then.
Oh, definitely. But I actually have an affinity for these jerseys. I kind of like them. I remember Cujo came back. We all forgave him for not winning us a cup, but even though there were reasons, because Ty Domi's a shithead. I'd say fake on this because they're just not that good. I don't hate these things. I love the font. I'm sorry, guys. It's a beautiful font. Classic Maple Leafs. I love the TML patch. Should have been on there. Just kidding. It actually would have made them look a hell of a lot worse. I don't actually think the elimination of the tail stripe would have been that bad if the cuffs were thicker. I think that's not a controversial statement in that, especially for the era, like the Edge era, cuffs, stripe, no hem, it could have worked. But, yeah, no, the teams were very mediocre. Leafs fans do not like this era. And as Toronto Maple Leafs and Oakville, Ontario native, it's my hometown, by the way, John Mitchell said, "Holy crap, Joffrey, these are terrible. I want to go play for the Rangers." And he did. So
that's how it goes down in the NHL, I guess.
Hey, Shawn. I want to say that I have to agree with you that the font for the name is nice, but the fact that they paired it with a block lettering is so contradicting, it makes my head hurt.
So what you're saying is they should return to those beautiful rounded numbers from the late 90s to 2000, as I've been telling Ryan for years now. Leafs look best with rounded numbers.
What I'm saying is, if they had the rounded numbers on this, it would still be crap, but it wouldn't be as crappy as it already is.
Oh, man. Okay, well, it sounds like for when we have a slow news week that Leaf jersey transitions from early 90s to present day is a decent topic to get into. But now that we've covered a very controversial edition of Shawn's Fake or Authentic, it's time to dip into the mailbag. Mailbag. The HJC Mailbag, this is where you can leave your questions or comments for us. They don't have to be hockey-based questions. You can ask us for financial advice, for life advice. Shawn, you could leave a question in there asking about a lady if you wanted to, and we could answer that here on the podcast.
Yeah, so here's the question. The Omaha
Oh my God. That's not a lady.
I don't know. I only love my jerseys and my memes. Girl, I'm sorry.
So I had this girl over the other day, and she got naked, and then she left. Did I do something?
I don't know. It's I was playing with the Rubik's Cube, and then I wanted to play PlayStation, and then I was showing her my jersey collection. She started taking her clothes off, and I said, "Oh, it's a little hot in here," so I turned the heat down. And she left. She was kind of pissed.
She took her clothes off while I was showing her my jersey collection, and I was like, "What the fuck do you think you're doing? You don't get to wear these."
Shawn. These are collectible.
Oh, no, you don't. Put that back on.
I turned around and said, "Oh,
No,
so anyways,
no,
the
you
shoulder
know what
patch changed in 2006."
No, this is what would happen. Shawn would finally get laid, and then in the morning he'd see the woman wearing one of his jerseys, and he'd just full out rage.
Just lose it.
And tell her
full
to get
American
the hell
Psycho.
out.
Drop a
he'd
chainsaw.
he'd be like,
from 3
"Get
floors up.
He'd be like, "Get the hell out and take that off."
No, you do not do
Touching
that.
your
to wear
greasy
that.
bare skin? You didn't even shower after coitus. How dare you?
That is a rare Buffa slug.
Oh, no.
Who said you could wear the slug, like get out the lint roller, like rolling it really? It's okay. It's
So
okay.
help me God, if there's one pubic hair in this hamstring, I will end you.
All right. Well, now we got to get into the HJC mailbag. There are no questions in here from Shawn this week, which is unfortunate. But, there's still 7 more days until the next mailbag, so lots of time for shit to happen. But let's go. This is from our friend of the show, and he signed this one, Fence Sitter. So this one's from Beepo. But in the 2016 All-Star Game, not all players wore each jersey. This is the first year they did the 4-division tournament. All players were assigned both colors of jerseys. Is owning a color that a player never wore a foul? Let's go to Steve from the 2016 All-Star Game. If you had a jersey that a player never wore, is that considered a foul?
Yes, because the only reason that the team that the guy that got John Scott is his name. Yeah. Sorry. The team that he was on, they had to change their jerseys because they were the same color. So it wasn't like they just decided to change. They were forced to. So if the person who was playing in the game didn't wear that jersey because they weren't forced to, then what's the point? That would technically be accounted as a foul. That's what we put under as a jersey foul. So, yes, it would be a foul.
Jersey foul. I got to agree with you on that one, Steve. Yeah. If they didn't show up on the ice with that jersey on, even though they were issued both jerseys, they did this also during the fantasy draft. They would make up both jerseys for all the players. But yeah, I agree. It's a jersey foul. Let's go to TC. Jersey foul.
100%. If they didn't wear it on the ice, if they didn't wear it in a locker room, it doesn't matter if it was just given to them. It has to be on their back for it not to be a jersey foul.
And Shawn.
I'll say it is a foul, but my standard's a little lower in that there are times where stuff like this isn't a foul. Like if they make up the jersey and they do a promo shot of it, if the player wears it, then doesn't. That's different. Or if the team cancels the jersey, that's not a foul. Like the Jack Eichel turd burgers, those technically aren't fouls because he was on the team before. Or Tyler Seguin on a black script Dallas jersey because he was on the team before they unveiled the new ones and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, this isn't a case like, I don't know, Mike Richter, Nashville Predators jersey. That's just fun. That's just kind of funny because he was drafted by them. Let's not forget that. Or if, like, Vegas drafted, like, Carey Price, and Carey Price said, I'm never playing for you, go away, and you got a Carey Price Vegas jersey, that's funny. But this isn't funny. It's wasting your time. If you want to do something like that, at least make it an interesting story, not like, I got a Daniel Sedin white version of this, and actually, he only wore the dark version of this.
And then someone just turns around and shakes their head. Yeah, I'm not getting into that. All right. Next question comes from Christopher J. And he says, when it comes to buying jerseys, should you buy a discounted Reebok jersey or save your money and get an Adidas jersey? Let's start with Steve.
So, if I'm wondering, I'm taking it as, say, jerseys that have been transferred over. So, for instance, say how Columbus is going back to the Cannon jersey.
Something like that, yep.
Okay. To be honest, at that point, you're just paying for the name Adidas to be put on there and for the fabric. which if you want to pay that much, that's fine. But if you just want the design, you're perfectly fine with a Reebok.
TC?
I got to go Reebok. As someone working on a college student's budget, I look for deals where I can. And if it's the same design, roughly, even if it's not completely the same, like even if it's Columbus Home and it's the old font instead of the new font, I'm gonna go Reebok 10 times out of 10. And I also like the cut on the Edge system better than I like the Adidas cut.
I agree. I also like the cut better, and I would spend my money on Reebok probably well before I spend my money on Adidas. Shawn?
Let's say neither. I'll be blunt. Go get a CCM jersey. They're way better fit. But if you had to pick between one, let's say you want a new Jets jersey. Okay, I'm going to say Adidas because I know for a fact that the Edge Jets couldn't win a playoff game, let alone a series. And as much as I love Andre Pavlik, miss you every day, buddy. I love you. Connor Hellebuck really didn't wear those jerseys much. And on top of that, the stitch shoulder patches alone honestly kind of make it worth it. And frankly, if you know where to go online, you can find good deals on them. You're not really paying as much of a premium for these authentic jerseys to the point where it's like $30 more than a regular price premier would be. I'd recommend somewhere like Sports Jerseys Canada or Cool Hockey or Ice Jerseys or every other site I've told you guys to go to that is an NHL shop that can do a proper customizing job. But yeah, depends on how much you want to spend on this, how much you're going to wear it. If you just want something to play road hockey in, do not get an Adidas jersey for the love of God. And frankly, find a good deal on a Reebok jersey if you're going to get a Reebok jersey.
Well said. Now, I just had a thought there while you were talking about Pavlich, whatever, goalie for the yeah, that guy, goalie for the Jets several years ago.
Who does he play for now?
All right, hold on. I got a great idea for you, Shawn. This pertains to the ladies too. So when you have a special woman over, just think of a obscure goalie that you enjoy and apply your thoughts to the goalie, to the lady who's with you, and boom, aces.
Here,
you're going to be.
On. It's a Wade Flaherty Nashville jersey. Why do I have to wear it?
It's going to help.
Just wear it.
It makes the brain work better.
It puts the jersey on, or else it gets the hose again.
Oh, okay. That's good stuff there. That's fantastic. I love it. All right. This one pertains to the Ottawa Senators logos that have been floating around, which I think personally, from my vantage point, is just to throw people off. I think they already know what they're going to go with, but this was the 6 logos that came out that they apparently asked season ticket holders to vote on what they would like the Ottawa Senators logos to look like. So this question, it doesn't have a name attached to it, but if you had voted on those Ottawa Senators logos, which one would you have chosen? And if it was me, first off, I would never, ever be an Ottawa Senators season ticket holder. But secondly, I would just vote on the classic O logo with the 2 stripes because, like I said, I think they already know they're going in that direction anyway. But Shawn, which one would you have gone with here?
I would have gone with the classic 90s logo because I'm super nostalgic for that logo. The teams were a lot better. They were the heel to the Leafs, but they were never good enough to really actually be a threat. So, you know, they're I don't know, I can't remember mid-90s wrestling. But the point is that they're not quite NWO Hollywood Hulk Hogan bad villain. They're a mediocre B-rate heel. But it's nice to see them try.
So they're WCW and Toronto's WWF.
That's pretty
Toronto good. At the time was DX, and Ottawa was everybody else. If you want to know my opinions of wrestling, that's my opinion of wrestling. But
sounds like we need to have a mid-90s wrestling podcast later. Yes.
We do. Yes, the mid-90s, despite the fact that Ryan was the only one who actually got to experience the Attitude Era at the proper age.
Can we drink Coors Light?
Yes.
The entire time?
We'll just get completely under the influence.
Surge the entire time. If we're going to be doing 90s wrestling. I'm drinking Surge.
Oh my goodness, this is a podcast in the making. We'll get under the influence of something, and we'll just do like 1997 year in review. It'll be fantastic. Oh my goodness.
But no, we have to do 1998 because that was the year Undertaker threw Mankind off of Hell in a Cell into the Spanish announcers table.
Save it for the podcast.
Wait, wasn't that the one where he threw him through the cage in the Mellon Arena?
Both. It was both. Same match. Fantastic.
This is great. But the point is Darcy Tucker is a beauty. Love you, buddy.
All right. Well, that was good. That was about the Ottawa Senators logo, so great answer. Thank you for that, Shawn. Steve, which logo would you have chosen from the batch of terrible logos?
I'm going to have to go back to the 90s, but honestly, they didn't even put the best logo on for their choice, which kind of upset me, which was the new updated side profile logo, which they choose not to use for anything other than on merchandise, which really pisses me off because it's such a good logo, but I feel like they've been trying to get away from that when they really should just embrace it again, and they should embrace the O and nothing else.
TC?
I'll be blunt, I don't like it.
You can shut the hell up.
Doesn't have enough black. It's not retro enough.
I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with Steve. He said exactly what I was going to say, which is, the updated version of what was the top left choice, which was the old 90s logo. The updated version is gorgeous. And it's not so close to the last one that you'll be sort of like reaching back to the old era or people will get confused about it. It's distinct enough that if you move to it, it'll be its own. And I know a lot of people like the O, but I just don't think it's enough to use as a brand identity, like in the modern era. Back when it was first announced, yeah, that's fine. Like way back in the 20s, you could get away with just an O. But nowadays, you need something that's a little more recognizable than just an O on top of two stripes.
It kind of seems minor leaguish if they were to do so, or it seems kind of like those really low Canadian junior teams. Like, what was it? The one team, the Crusaders. I can't remember. It's something Park Crusaders. And they just use an English C.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I thought you were talking about like major junior. No, you're talking about the level below. Okay.
So that's kind of where I was getting with it. So like use that as a shoulder patch logo because that works perfect as a shoulder patch logo. It's not. I mean, it's round, so it works perfectly on the front of a jersey, but it should not be there just because it's so plain and so boring.
You're talking about the Sherwood Park Crusaders of the AJHL.
Thank you.
And they have been wearing that same English-style C since 1978, all the way back in the years that when Old English was used.
Wow.
Sherwood Park, I mean, no offense to you, but please update your identity. We will happily do it here.
Seriously,
host a design contest.
We got
HJC. We do that now.
We got a lot of people in the Sherwood Park organization that are hardcore listeners to this podcast. I know they'll be in touch, and so get ready. That's coming, folks.
No,
Hi, George.
someone.
Hey, Frank.
Tell them here. Someone's going to tell them that we said they had a terrible logo, and it's just going to spiral out of control.
We're just going to get full of hate. Like our Old English C, eh?
All right, that was the HJC Mailbag for this week. Again, if you want to leave us a question, you can email it in anytime, mailbag@hockeyjerseyconcepts.com, or you can head to hockeyjerseyconcepts.com and find the form on the side of the page. It's also on the bottom of the podcast page, so you can find it there. Leave us your questions, leave us your name so that we can give you credit for an amazing or terrible question on the podcast as we read them. That is pretty much what we have for you this week. Steve, anything new or exciting in the Jersey Casual shirts or designs?
I have a few of the All-Star designs, which I will put up for you guys. Otherwise, I am currently preoccupied preparing for my wedding and getting a house with my fiance.
Oh, please. You need to straighten out those priorities.
Priorities.
That's bullshit right there. Can't have any of
that. Yeah. Tell my fiance that.
Get her listening to the podcast.
Dedicated to Shawn.
Did anybody buy a duvet yet? Any duvet purchases?
Working on it, boys.
Yeah, I got to make rent first, but after that,
If you want a duvet, you email us here, and we will open up to make a duvet available, because we have to make them available on the website, and I don't make them available intentionally because that's something that we have to do specifically, and the way I want to do it is I want to make it as a pattern, and it looks sweet as a pattern.
So if you want a duvet and you purchase said duvet, you got to email us, concepts@hockeyjerseyconcepts.com. Tell us about your intentions to buy the duvet, and once you actually purchase that thing, you are automatically entered into the Concept of the Year semifinal vote. So there's your incentive to go get a Jersey Casual duvet. And all the ladies love it. Heads up on that, Shawn. Just be aware of that. Also going on this week is the HJC Open quarterfinals voting. If you're listening to this during the week that it comes out, the 2018 HJC Open is in the quarterfinals. Probably by the time you listen to this, all the entries will be in, and then the voting begins. The top 8 are now in the bracket portion of the tournament, and they're looking to move on, and that voting will take place this week. Voting closes, as almost all voting does on the website, Friday at noon Eastern. We also have the Concept of the Week vote. We're going to have a back-to-back winner, our very own TC, Friday's writer. He's going to win another Concept of the Week this week. TC, if you're going to choose out of the 2 concepts that are available, which one would you prefer people vote for?
Oh, geez, that's pressure. It's like asking which child you love the most.
It is not. It's like after if you love...
Ryan, which one of your children do you love the most?
Oh, it's definitely my son. Come on.
But if I'm gonna go with one, I'm torn because I put a lot of time and effort into the Rattlers one, but I also really like the way the Coyotes one turned out. But I'm gonna go Rattlers just for the amount of time and gray hair it gave me.
So TC says vote for his Rattlers concept. That's his choice there. But we are going to have, TC will be a back-to-back winner this upcoming Saturday is when the winner will be announced. As we say every week, we want to hear some feedback. What do you like about the show? What do you dislike about the show? So if you want to get in touch with us anytime, you can get in touch with us, mailbag at hockeyjerseyconcepts.com, or you can catch up with us on Twitter at hockeyjc. You can try and catch up with me on Facebook. We have one of those pages, but I hate Facebook. So it'll probably be one of the writers who finds your messages and then relays them on to me. So, don't touch Facebook. I hate it. But, you can get in touch with us those ways. And be sure to share the podcast with your friends. Let's get this podcast off the ground. We think we have good content. I think you'll enjoy the content. So share it with your friends because they'll like the content too. And as we've already discussed, upcoming bonus podcasts this summer, Shawn's Love Life and WWF 1998 in review, Under the Influence. Those are coming up. Those are happening. So be on the lookout for those. Super excited about them. They might even be the same episode. We could start whatever.
Push me to drink. That's what it is. It's gonna be the let's push Jess to drink and see if we can get his real Jersey opinions out. And I'm gonna be grabbing the mic stand and be like,
I hate the Islanders black jersey.
I never liked it. I only said that to make you mad. I actually think that
I've got another.
Islanders look best in navy blue and Joey McDonald. Fuck you, Joey McDonald.
I have a great idea. So, Shawn, next time you have a lovely lady up to your pad there, with all the pennants.
Skype us all.
Yeah, I want you to get the Skype going, and we will just live commentate what's going on. And I want you to show your lady your jersey collection. And so that way we can all sit back here and say, oh, he's pulling out the 07 Predators. Let's see how this goes. She didn't run away. This is amazing. Oh, she ran away. There she goes right there. So that would be a fantastic podcast as well. I mean, that would just be awesome. Or if things go well, we could start placing bets on how long those pennants last on the wall behind you. Because I know one fell today. One fell today just while you were getting angry. So.
Before a woman knocks him down.
Oh. But while we're on the subject of Shawn's love life, we could do the push again. Jets to USA, lady listeners of the podcast, or any guy who knows any females. Shawn is currently in the market for a green card marriage, preferably in the American Southwest.
Scottsdale.
But beggars can't be choosers. He'll take it anywhere that he can get his hands on that sweet, sweet freedom of a 42-ounce American soda.
So, yeah, Shawn's taken the verbal abuse from us this week, and maybe before he cries himself to sleep, we should put this podcast to bed. So, Shawn, thank you for maintaining your composure during this episode.
I'm trying.
And I bet you're looking forward to the rest of this summer and all the bonus podcasts we have planned. Steve, thanks for joining us this week.
My pleasure.
And TC, thanks for joining us as well and sharing your giant soda with everybody.
Always fun.
And if anybody else needs a giant cup of freedom, get in touch with the blog, and TC will tell you where you can get your very own 2-liter cup that says on the front, America knows how to party. It's
fantastic.
That is all we have for you this week. Be sure to join us again next week for another episode of the Jersey Nerds Podcast.